All right, thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Bullpen Blues. As always, I'm your co-host, Kevin Dixon, joined by our good buddy, David Esser. David, 4-game sweep. How the hell are we feeling tonight?
Kevin, you know what has a real nice ring to it? First place Phils.
First place Phillies, baby. Let's
First
go.
place Phils. 2 games over 500 now.
Game and a half
But,
out of the National League lead, bro.
yeah, no,
Game
you
and
know
a
what?
half out of the top record in the NL. Who the hell would have thought?
I was gonna say we didn't even talk about this. I believe they have the same record as the Dodgers at the
They
moment.
do? They do? They do.
Crazy. What a week of baseball, man. What a
Dodgers
week.
got swept by the Brewers. Phillies sweep the Brewers. I don't know, man. The Phillies are better than the Dodgers now?
Phil's best team in the NL?
Best team in the NL,
Question mark?
yeah. I like the sound of it. It's a great week, David. Fantastic week. They got the sweep without Bryce Harper. Pretty much playing a man down because he didn't go to the IL. Great start in pitching. Great. I don't want to say great bullpen, but when it mattered most, the bullpen stepped up. Clutch hitting leads to a 4-game sweep in the first place Phils, man. What a difference 10 days makes.
Yeah, and this was something we talked about 3 episodes ago, 2 episodes ago, 1 episode ago. The idea of the entire organization, I felt like, came together this week.
Yeah.
And just it was solid at bat after solid at bat after gutsy pitching performance. I mean, Kevin, we saw Aniel De Los Santos come in
a high leverage spot.
out of nowhere and take down an 8th inning,
Yeah.
throwing like 97 up in the zone. Like, it's performances like that where I watched this team again without Bryce Harper. Aaron Nola only gave you 6 innings. Granted, we're going to talk about him. He was fantastic, but performances like that, backs up against the wall. Not everything went perfect. No Harper. Archie Bradley still hurt. Gene Segura still hurt. You still don't have. You have a traffic cone out in center field,
Yeah.
and yet somehow this team took 4 games against a Brewers squad, which has been decent all season.
Yeah, for sure. It almost feels like they caught Milwaukee at the right time. I know Milwaukee got some guys back, but they're coming off that big sweep of the Dodgers, who aren't playing well, but it's still the Dodgers. You're absolutely right, man. And don't knock the traffic cone in center field. Dubal Herrera's got a 2-game hitting streak, man. Look out.
Yeah,
Look out.
out.
I think he's up to 135 now.
He, Kevin, I don't know if you saw, he slid into first base today.
I saw it, yeah.
I
He
just
probably could have beat it out if he ran through.
most
Yeah.
likely.
It was close though. It looked like Vogelbach's foot came off.
It looked real cool on
It was
TV,
close.
sliding
Yeah.
into first base like that, but not the brightest of decision. But yeah, look, it was just a really.
Well, he
really
doesn't really. He's known for not making the best decisions.
You could say that again. But yeah, look, just a really good 4 games of baseball. Again, it wasn't perfect. They blew some leads.
Yep.
You had David Hale, Jojo Romero doing their best to sabotage the team. But at the end of the day after day, they found a way to pull it out, coming off a pretty we were pretty down after the Mets series. It was just felt kind of lifeless, like this team wasn't giving you enough energy on a consistent basis, and to turn around and just take care of business this week, right before you take on Atlanta, right before you take on Washington. Like, Kevin, I'm feeling pretty good at the moment.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's easy to feel good at coming off a 4-game sweep, but even like now, looking back on that Mets series, of course, it sucks dropping 2 or 3, but like the Phillies were still competitive in those games. It seems like ever since, I mean, if you really want to say ever since Harper got hit in the face with a fastball, but like they got crushed by the Rockies on a Sunday. I think it was like 12-1.
Mm-hmm.
Ever since that game, they went to St. Louis, split, dropped 2 or 3 to the Mets. They were in each game, 2 1-run losses. Then you come out and sweep the Brewers. Even with dropping 2 or 3 to the Mets, they've been pretty damn good since the Colorado game. I mean, what they play 7 straight 1-run games. Like they've been competitive, and this is exactly like I'm pretty sure we talked about it on the last episode, but I know we've talked about it off the air, and you just mentioned it now. It's what we wanted to see: competitiveness, man. Like grinding out at bats, hitting your spots, pitching. Vince Velasquez chipped in with a first time since 2019 going 6 innings. I mean, this is what we've been saying. We need contributions from the rest of the roster, and the guys showed up this week.
No, it's a fantastic point because look, we've talked all off season, we've talked all season now. We know the top end of this team is strong.
Yep.
Nola, Wheeler, Eflin, they're great. Harper, JT, Didi, like those are great options. You know, you even look at the bullpen. A guy like Hector, Sam Coonrod, they've been solid this year, but it's the supplemental talent. Can you get half decent outings from Vince Velasquez once every 2 weeks? You know, can a guy like Enio De Los Santos come up and give you a clutch inning? Can a guy like Matt Moore
Yeah.
pitching for the first time in over 2 weeks come in and give you a high leverage inning? You know, those are the types of performances that have me excited because now I feel like the team's finally starting to buy into this idea of we got to be competitive every single night. There's no off days for this team. Look, they're up what game and a half in the NL East at the moment. Is that correct?
The Mets won today, so I think it's just a game, but
Okay.
still, I mean,
Even
they're
then,
up.
that's a game, and there's no
Yeah.
reason you can't continue to stack on while this team is feeling good. Look, Harper's coming back. Gene Segura's coming back. Archie Bradley will be back eventually, hopefully,
Yep.
when they get back from this road trip. Like the time to pounce on this energy, it's right now.
And we're coming into a massive series in Atlanta, who's also coming off a sweep. They
Yes,
swept
sir.
the Nationals. Um, it's a huge weekend. It's almost as if this is like a kind of like it sounds odd too because they're in first place and they've been playing well recently, but it's like kind of going to tell us where they are. They come out and win 2 or 3 against Atlanta again. I know they swept and they dropped 2 or 3 in Atlanta. They're up 4-2 in the season series. You can take 2 or 3 this weekend. I'm feeling pretty good. You know, I'm feeling good. Let's make sure we don't go out and good thing this is wood, so with a knock on it. But let's not go out and get swept and lose all the momentum we had. Uh, let's just continue to play competitive baseball. And to me, the situation we're in now, um, and I don't want to keep harping on it, but this is why I was preaching: get out of April at 500, stay in it, don't get buried in the standings because you can go on a little run like this, and now we're feeling good. We're feeling good now. It's just it's going to be a roller coaster of a season, and it's finally nice that we get to sit down on one of these and feel good coming off a big series win sweep and get to have an upbeat episode because the last few have kind of been downers. Even the Cardinals one where we felt good, they still when we split. Like now this is a definitive win. This has been a good week already, and we still have 3 games left.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, the upcoming series with Atlanta, I agree completely. It's a big kind of test for this team where it's like, all right, you're in first place, you're two
Where
games
are
over
we?
500.
Yep.
Where are we as a team? Are
Yep.
are we this good? Or are we going to stumble back to that 500 below 500 range? And all things considered, Kevin, I think they're in a pretty good spot this weekend. Zach Wheeler, who we're going to talk in detail here in a second, he put this team in a fantastic position moving forward because the
Yep.
bullpen completely rested. You have
Yep.
Zach Eflin on the mound with a healthy, rested Neres, Coonrod, Alvarado. Anybody you want is available tomorrow. It's a great opportunity to go out and not only extend the winning streak to 5, but jump out to another quick win over Atlanta here with Eflin, who's actually pitched pretty well in Atlanta throughout his career. So I'm feeling rather good about tomorrow night. Then it's just about again battling. Vince Velasquez will be back on the mound Saturday. He's earned that right.
Yeah, he
Um,
has. He has.
he's earned that right. Look, I
He has.
don't like Vince, but he's
Yeah.
definitely earned that right. So 2 or 3 would just be so big this weekend. I think they're in a good spot. The energy's high again. Hopefully Bryce is playing. Hopefully Gene is playing. And then it's just about all right. How good is this baseball team at the moment?
Yeah, and I'm excited to see how Eflin responds because Nola pitched. He didn't have his best stuff. He wasn't able really to locate that fastball the other night, but he still pitched a good game. Um, and then Wheeler today, dominant, absolutely dominant. You got to think the competitive nature of Eflin of being like, I want to one up him. I'm very excited to see how Eflin comes out tomorrow.
Yeah. Before we get to Wheeler, I actually want to talk about Nola because you said he pitched a good game. Kevin, I actually think he pitched a great game.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
buckle down, man.
yeah, look, I understand the box score is not going to reflect that. He only gave you 6 innings, allowed the run, but it was the way he responded after that first inning. That's what an ace does. Look, every game's not going to be an 8 inning, 9 inning shutout. That's just not how baseball works. He labored through that first inning. He bunkered down. He gave you 6 innings. He struck out 10. He gave you 114 pitches,
Yep.
grinded through that final inning, which again put the bullpen in a position where it's like, all right, you only need 9 outs, and they
Yep.
were able to do it. It wasn't the most stress free of situations, but it's outings like that from Nola which really get me excited about him for the rest of the season because it's gutsy. Those are the types of performances early in May where you need your ace to go out there and be special, and he
Yep.
was.
And you mentioned the pitch count, and I wanted to get into this because it was the same thing with Wheeler today. We've been rather hard on Girardi. He made a ridiculous mistake again the other night. But one thing I do like, and this is just from being like a baseball guy my whole life, but even before, because like growing up, analytics didn't really blow up until I was a little bit older. So like I remember the game before it completely blew up. Um, Girardi letting those guys go 114 pitches for Nola. I think Wheeler hit 120 today. As hard as we've been on Girardi and have kind of been like harping for Gabe Kapler, there is no way in hell that Kapler would have kept those guys in. I think it's awesome that he has the confidence in his guys to let them go. Like they're your horses, man. I think Wheeler leads the National League in innings pitched. I think Nola's third. I mean, that's pretty damn good. Um, and in that same breath, I guess it more so has to do with his confidence level in the pitchers. I was telling you, even before Romero gave up the runs, I thought he should have kept Anderson in another hitter. I guess when you look at it, because he let Nola and Wheeler go, it might just be a confidence factor, how much he really truly believes in this guy. One of these times, though, he's going to have to let Anderson hang himself. You know what I mean? Like, it's only May. We can't continue to trot him out there for 4 1/3 innings. Sounds silly, but like, even if Vogelback popped one there, it's still 5-4. I just that would be my one gripe, and that's really really nitpicking off a good week. But just like in that line of thought, I just loved how he stuck with Nolan Wheeler. Just to get back to the main point.
Yeah, I mean, again, I agree. It was kind of crazy to me that people were calling for Nola to be pulled during his game. I'm like, look,
He's your horse, man. You got to let him figure it out.
that's why these guys are on the roster. And,
Yeah.
moving towards Wheeler, specifically his outing, I mean, the dude was incredible today.
Yep.
I haven't seen him look that good. And that's saying something because he's looked pretty darn good
Yeah.
since putting on the Phillies uniform. Kevin, we've talked about it before. We've talked about it off the air. It's one of arguably the best signings in Phillies history, going after
Looking
him
that way.
over a Madison Bumgarner, over a Dallas Keuchel, not giving an extra $200 million to
That's
Garrett Cole. As
that's the
great as
thing.
he is,
$200 million difference in Wheeler and Cole, and Wheeler is looking like a absolute bargain. You're so right about that.
look, if it wasn't for Aaron Nola, Wheeler would be the consensus ace on this staff.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
there's probably at least 20 other teams in baseball where Wheeler would be their number one. I mean, he has just been such a bargain. He's been so good. I think he fits this team's culture and city so well. I mean, it's been a dream fit for him. I expect him to continue to be great. His ERA since joining the Phillies, I believe, is at 2.88, which is just
Yeah, it's crazy.
unbelievable.
Yep.
He's awesome, man. I was so impressed with him today.
And I do want to say that I know just from because I mean we've been friends now for probably near 2 years now. I'd say I know for a fact the first article I wrote was a trade target. 2019 summer, it was like trade targets for the Phillies. Wheeler was on there, and I know I read some articles from you before you were at Section 215 and before you were doing what you're doing now. You wanted Wheeler as well. So the Bullpen Blues have been in on it even before we knew we were in on it. So pat ourselves on the back for that one.
Yeah, we are both. No, no, you're 100% correct. I
Yeah.
remember writing. It was when I was doing work for thatballsoutahere.com.
Yes.
The
I wanted
Phillies
to say
blog.
PSN, but you're right. It was that
Yeah.
ball's over here. Yeah.
I was evaluating all the starting pitchers and like repeatedly throughout the offseason. I was like, Wheeler is the guy. Go get him. His fastball is insane. And yeah, we both nailed that prediction. He's been great.
Can't say I'm shocked, man. Bullpen Blues. Yeah. We got that. We just got the magic touch, man.
Yeah,
And 3-0 in the ballpark this year.
yeah. Oh, and we haven't even talked about it,
Yeah.
Kevin. The absolute travesty that took place on Monday. Uh,
Yeah, it is what it is, man.
I was supposed to be in Philly for the game. Me and
Yep.
Kev, we were going to go together. We were going to cheer on Vince Velasquez. And I was looking at the forecast and it just said rain, rain, rain. And I was like, all right, I'm not going to make the drive up. And of course, Kevin, it did not.
It held out. Yeah.
It held out. The game was played. They made Brogdon pitch during a hurricane, but
Yep.
they finished that ball game. But I'm sure if I was there, they would have lost. So it was probably for the best.
Yeah. I mean, maybe it is a good thing because you're right. Maybe they would have lost. I wouldn't have a perfect record.
Yeah.
Three
Which
0
is,
in the ballpark this spring, man.
yeah, go to
I'll,
more games.
I'll be there when they get. I already got a couple more games in May that I'm going to. There,
Fantastic.
two Red Sox games, I believe, in the Marlins series. I'm going to that one. Trying to keep the good times going, man.
Yeah, and let me know a day that works for you, and I'll make sure I get myself up there here soon. Kevin, I wanna pivot here. Look, we talked about the pitching. It's been a great week. I want to talk about Andrew McCutchen, and I want to talk about Andrew McCutchen because he's quietly had a pretty good couple of games.
He's made us look like idiots. Is what he's done.
Well, look, his batting average is still under 200. I don't know if I go that far, but over the last 9 games since April 24th, I have the numbers right here. Kevin, he's batting 290
Yeah.
with 5 RBIs, 3 home runs, 6 runs scored. He's worked 3 walks. Obviously, had a big 2 home run game against the Mets, his first time doing that in a Phillies uniform. I wouldn't go as far as to say that he's back in quotation marks, but it looks like he's on the track to being a at least serviceable left fielder again.
Well, that's the thing, man. They don't need him to be a guy who hits 290 with 25, 30 homers. Would it be great? Of course. I'm not going to act like that wouldn't be a good thing. But they just need him, like you said, to be serviceable. Don't be a reason that's hurting the ball club. You don't necessarily have to be someone that we're leaning on exclusively, but don't be, dragging us down. That's definitely a big thing. Like, you're right. He's looked really good. The ball popping off his bat. They were loud. I believe the two homer game was the Brewers. He had a leadoff homer against the Mets.
Yeah, you're correct. I misspoke.
But I only reason I know that is because I was there. It was loud, man. Both of them were very loud off the bat. It's good to see because he just looked lost for the first month of the season. It was getting to the point where we were like, how the hell are they going to keep putting this guy in left?
Yeah, I mean, I had gone on record saying Brad Miller should be the everyday starter in left field. And look, Brad,
He should still play pretty much every day.
he's still swinging a nice bat at the moment. But if McCutchen can get back, to that kind of 250 range, working some walks, giving you that pop that most leadoff hitters don't have around baseball,
No,
it'll never be worth
just get
$20
on
million.
base. That's where I'm at. Just get on base, man. I
Yeah,
don't need you going deep all the time.
catch fly balls too, which is still we're
Yeah.
still working on that one, but we're getting there.
To,
All right,
to touch on Miller before we do
sure.
pivot, I saw someone tweet it. I can't think off the top of my head, so if it's a listener, I apologize. But is there a more fun guy to see hit a home run than Brad Miller? Because he hits some blasts. Like
He,
when he hits them, he hits them.
yeah,
Like
I mean,
that was a Titanic home run the other night.
the second he made contact, I
Yeah,
jumped up because I knew
it
that
was
thing
more
was
of a
going nuts.
is it gonna hook or is it gonna stay fair?
It was more of, is it going to be in the third deck or the second
Yeah.
deck?
Oh,
It
that was a bomb, dude. When he hits them, he hits them.
tomahawk that thing. Yeah, he's such a fun player. I can't stress enough how great of a decision it was to re-sign him this offseason.
Yeah, man, he needs to be in the lineup. If they play 5 games, he should be in there at least 3, preferably 4. I understand there's not really a route to play him every single day, unless you're going to play somebody out of position. But he needs to be in there almost every single day.
I could not agree more.
Yeah.
There's a certain type of energy that he brings to the table
Yep.
that I don't think anyone else on the roster can. All right, so let's pivot real quick. We spoke about Chase Anderson and kind of he's still up and down. I'm still holding out hope
For
that he
sure. Yeah.
can develop and kind of figure out and be a serviceable fifth starter. I agree that I do
He
think
hasn't gotten crushed yet, except the Colorado game.
correct. I agree that I think part of this is on Joe, where the training wheels have to come off eventually, and you have to look at Chase and realize the reason you signed him is because he's a savvy veteran who can chew up innings, but you can't chew up innings if you're getting pulled in the fifth. Now, granted, part of that is because his pitch count has been through the roof almost every single time he's pitched. That's
Yep.
on him. He's got to be better there.
Yep.
But I do think there might need to be a sit down conversation where it's like, all right, Chase, You're giving me 6 innings tonight. I don't care how you do it, but give us 6.
Well, that's like my whole argument on it is like his pitch count was high, but I think it was like 92.
It was in the 90s, yeah.
Yeah, like come on, man. He could go. He could at least go one more hitter. Like you said, like the training wheels have got to come off at some point because you're relying on this guy to be a part of your rotation. And like you said, I'm still in on him. I think he could still be an effective guy for you. He hasn't really gotten crushed yet. Coors Field. It was a bad weekend. We won't speak of that again. But I mean, like he knows how to get guys out. So like the whole thing with the other night was just like it's easy to say it now, and you're right because they gave up the runs anyway.
Mhm.
But it's more so even just like being like, all right, Chase, I believe in you. Go get this guy out and get the next guy. Get yourself in line for a win because it's a big thing for starting pitchers. They want to win the game, and at the same time, they want to be in line to win the game. He needed two more outs, man. He needed two more outs, and he was in line to win that ball game.
Yeah, and again, we're kinda nitpicking here, they went 4-0, let's be happy about that, but
Sure, yeah,
I hate the idea that Chase is being lumped in as, like, another failed experiment at the back end of the rotation.
yeah.
Chase, he's a
Sure.
good starting pitcher.
Yeah.
He hasn't been good this season. He wasn't particularly good last season. But if you look at his full track record, he is a guy who can be a number 4 or a number 5 on a playoff caliber roster. That's just who he is. I agree. There needs to be a point where it's like, Chase, we're done. We're done messing around. You're a good pitcher. You're a number 4. You're going to go rack up the wins this season, as you know, as long as the offense backs him up. Which at the moment, it looks like this offense, we talked about this last episode, they're finally turning the corner where they're going to give you more than 2 runs every game.
Yeah.
So I agree. I don't know when that moment's going to come for Chase.
I
I
hope
don't
it's
think.
his next start. I hope.
Yeah, obviously, I hope it's the
Yeah.
next start. If that moment comes in June or July, so be it. But I agree, there has to be a point where, and again, this might be on Chase, this might be on Girardi, it might be on the defense, whomever. There's got to be a point where 6 inning outings become kind of a regular thing with Chase.
Yeah, and I don't want to minimize a game because look, if they kept him in against Milwaukee, Vogelback hits a 3-run homer, then it's like, damn, 5-4. But sometimes even more important than just that single game is just showing that guy that you believe in him. Like and just being like, look, you're either going to get the guy out or you're not, but you're staying in there. I believe in you that you can get him out. So show me. Like,
Hmm.
go do it. And you're right, that has to happen. Like, it's just not going to work if they continue to do what they're doing. Like, it's not going to be sustainable over a full season. So I'm with you. I'm glad we're on the same page with that.
Yeah, and it's a good segue point because I want to talk about Vince. But Vince is a guy. Look, he gave you 6 innings the other night, which was great, dude. He was fantastic. I loved
Yeah,
everything I saw from him. Probably not going to be a regular thing with Vince, but I
sure.
can
Yeah.
live with 5 innings from Vince as long as he's keeping the runs down, right? And that's the moment where you then turn to your bullpen and be like, all right, bullpen, you gotta finish this one out, but you can't be doing that with 2 pitchers. I'm cool with Vince being the one guy who needs some extra bullpen help, but
Yep.
Chase, again, you got to start letting him push into that 6th inning, maybe even get into the 7th inning on occasion, because the bullpen it's been pretty taxed the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Part of that is because they're still missing Archie Bradley, who was supposed to be a pretty big piece for them, a guy who could take down 2 innings once in a while. But Kevin, you saw Vince pitch. You were at that game. Obviously, he was impressive. How are you feeling about him moving forward as his team's kind of number 4, number 5 at the moment?
Well, I was saying it a couple weeks ago. Like, I wanted to see him throw another game. Then he threw another game. I said, I think he should start another game. He started another one, and they did the same thing the other night. Look, like he hasn't been getting crushed. Granted, the OPS is pretty high. I know I texted you about that the other day. It's like 8 something in his last 5 outings. But his ERA is really spiked from that ridiculous debut he had where he was dominant 1 inning. Next inning, he was walking everybody. I think everybody scored. Um, am I fully believing in him? No. But at the same time, like you said, like I can't act like he hasn't been serviceable, I guess is what I'm looking for. He's done his job. He has. And look, I understand this is year what, 6 of the Vince Velasquez experiment. But at the end of the day, if he's getting guys out, like as long as he's wearing red pinstripes, man, I'm rooting for him. And if he's going to continue getting guys out and giving the Phillies decent outings, I I think he should stay in the rotation for the time being. and until Dombrowski inevitably adds another arm. Because I don't necessarily, I'm not as far as you are. Like, I know you're like, he stinks. I don't, I heard you say it, like, you don't believe in his talent or anything. And I get it. Hey, rightfully so. He has a career 4.73 ERA. Like, it's not good. At the same time, though, they're still relying on him. So like, just go out and do it, man. It's the same thing with Chase Anderson. Like, go out and show me that I shouldn't believe in you, because I'm an optimist, man. I believe in you until you prove me otherwise. Same thing with Vince. He's proven me otherwise multiple times in his career. But right now, we got good vibes with him. So let's just keep rocking with it until he inevitably gets bombed. Hopefully, it's not Saturday.
I think you put that very well. You're right. I've gone on record. I'm not a big Vince guy. I
Yeah,
prefer him not to be on the
wasn't
roster.
necessarily. I'm not dissing you, because like
No,
you're,
no, you're
yeah,
100% right.
yeah, you're rightfully so.
But in this moment, he has 1,000,000% earned the right to start on Saturday. And look, I'm hoping he goes out there and
Yeah,
dominates the
give
Braves.
me another 6 innings, man. I don't even need you to dominate. Just
Yeah,
6 innings, 3-run ball. I can
give
live
us a
with that.
chance. Give us a
Yep.
chance to win. All right, Kevin. We're want to wrap things up here pretty shortly, but I want to talk about the bullpen. Obviously, kind of an up and down week. I feel
Weirdly,
really, really good about Sam Coonrod at the moment. Am I crazy for thinking that he might be this team's best reliever?
no, because this far he's been their best reliever, and that's not knocking Neris, because Neris has been very good too. I don't want us to brush him aside, because I know we're very hard on him as well.
Hmm.
Both of those guys have been very good, and I think you're probably right. Coonrod might have the best stuff in that bullpen. That guy's electric, and this is a guy that when they acquired him, we were kind of like, like whatever. But these are the kind of moves that good teams hit. These are the moves that good teams, they find these diamonds in the rough. It's looking like this is one of them.
Yeah, I mean, and how long have we complained about this team's inability to do just that? And it's
Yeah,
looked like they've done it with two players in the same offseason, like 2 days apart. They traded for Coonrod, they traded for Alvarado.
yeah.
Both players have been absolutely surreal. I
The
mean,
Alvarado thing was like he'd done it before.
correct.
So like when they traded for him, it wasn't. I was viewing it as like I love it as long as he's healthy. I love it.
Yeah.
Coonrod's come out of nowhere.
Yeah, and you talk about, the prominence of analytics in this sport and looking at things like velocity. The thing that always intrigued me with him was his velocity had gone up year over year,
Yeah,
where it was like 95 and then it went up to like 97 and then last year it was 99. This year it's like almost 100. Like his
yeah,
average fastball velocity, I want to say is like 99.7, which is unbelievable late in the games. I've seen him hit 101. Obviously, he took down 5 innings for the team the other night, where it was just fastball after fastball. And then, oh, here's a 92-mile-per-hour slider. And like you talk about an
yep.
analytic darling with just tons of stuff. That's textbook right there. And I'm genuinely impressed that Dombrowski was able to identify that. Uh, and it's worked perfectly thus far.
You know what's big too, and this is what makes a great late inning reliever. He doesn't walk anyone, dude.
Hmm.
He has 2 walks in 14 innings.
Yeah, it's
Like,
good.
he doesn't walk anybody. Like, that's huge, because you get late in those games, it's 1 or 2 run game. You can't be putting guys on base, and he doesn't do that. It's that number 54, man. I think that might be what it is.
Magical number. And no, and the walk thing is why I've been a little bit uh more pleased with him versus Alvarado. And look, I still
Yeah,
really, really like Alvarado, but Alvarado's control gets a little wonky once in a while. He walks a few batters, he'll hit a few guys, whereas Coonrod hasn't really had that issue yet, where he's still just pounding the strike zone. As things currently stand, I think the foursome of Hector Neris, Jose Alvarado, Sam Coonrod, and Archie Bradley, fingers crossed whenever he comes back, I think that's a pretty good top four, assuming everyone pitches the way they've been pitching, assuming Archie comes back 100%, I think that's a playoff caliber top four. I think the back end of the bullpen still needs a lot of help, but I'm pretty good with those four guys.
for sure. And like you said with Bradley too, because he's another guy that I would put in this mold. Neris as well. We've seen it, and definitely Alvarado and Coonrod. They have some swagger, man. Like, they just have the flow. Like, not the flow with the hair, but like they just have that energy. And we've seen it with Neris, where he gets really fired up. I know when I was texting you, I was saying, "Don't throw at somebody's head." I feel like looking back on that now, they played it right, and they hit Arenado. I think it was on the elbow, but he was like throwing at his back, which is where if you're going to throw at somebody, that's where you do it. That was a big moment, in my opinion, because Neris showed, all right, I got my teammates back for sure, and they've kind of rallied around that. Um, these guys just kind of have that like a little like a chip on their shoulder. They got an edge to them. Coonrod was trying to fight the whole damn roster
Yeah, it
that
was.
night. Alvarado the next night against the Mets going at Dom Smith, and there's just like a little bit of an edge to this team, and I like that. We haven't seen it in years, man. There's just
We
something about them right now.
we haven't seen it in like a decade,
That's
Kevin.
what I mean. Yeah, it's been a long time, man.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I remember texting you when Alvarado started that big fight. I was like, I love it. I don't care if he gets suspended. That's the
Yeah,
type of energy we need from our late inning guys. All right.
he's kind of got like he's just like I'm not going to say the word, but he's just like f you,
Yeah.
you know, and that you got to be like that, man. He's a bulldog. They
Well,
all,
I think that's what what Alvarado was literally yelling to Dominic Smith
yeah,
was, "It's right down the middle. Like,
yeah,
hit it. I'm throwing it right down the middle. You can't hit it," which I thought
yeah.
was really funny. All right, Kevin. Final player I want to touch on in the bullpen before we sign off. Matt Moore, out of nowhere. We talked about him briefly earlier in the episode. Been on the IL for like 2 weeks. Comes back and he was working out of the bullpen as opposed to the starting rotation. I don't know if they're going to keep him there. Personally, I don't hate the move. Obviously, not a lot of velocity, not a lot of stuff, but for a guy who can maybe come in, give you 2, 3 innings once in a while, take down some low stress innings, kind of take over that David Hale role, take over that Jojo Romero role. I'm on board with that for the moment.
I'm back in on Matt Moore, and
All the way back in.
it has to do not with his talent. Love his attitude, and I'm going to read a quote here that I sent to you. I believe it was Todd Zalecki's article, and if it's not, I apologize. It was MLB.com. He was a Phillies writer. Matt Moore stated when asked about his role, Vince has had a couple good starts back to back. From being overseas and being on some losers before, being with this group right here, it's been a long time since I felt all the way in like I am right now. Whether my role's in the starting rotation or if it's the long man in the bullpen or somewhere in between, that's where I'm at right now. And I feel really good about where our club's at. Being a part of this is the biggest thing to me. I love that attitude because that's just a guy who's saying, I've been through it all in my career. I'm just happy to be on a winner or a team that I believe can win. I love that, man. Reading that quote, I'm like, I'm back in. Matt Moore guy right here.
Kevin, I am so glad you read that quote because that is absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm totally in agreement. I think it's really really cool that he went out of his way to say that because look, his teammates, Vince Velasquez, they're gonna eat that stuff up. They're gonna love it.
Yeah.
'Cause look, Vince is probably pretty stressed right now. He knows this is his last chance. He knows Matt Moore's his competition, and you have Moore publicly saying, "Look, I'm supporting you, Vince.
Yeah.
I'll do my job if you want to keep excelling at yours. There's no bad blood here, and I think that's really really important for kind of the culture of this clubhouse.
Yeah. Because it would have been easy for him, maybe not even publicly, but to just be disgruntled and be like, I signed here to be a starter. Like, it's bullshit.
Hmm.
I just love that attitude, man. That's a winning attitude, in my opinion. That's somebody who, like he said, I'm all in. He's going to do whatever he can to help the team. And at the end of the day, man, that's all we're asking for. I just think that's such a good attitude, especially after someone who struggled and his role, he lost his starting spot. Like he lost his spot in the rotation. Just basically saying, I'm do whatever I need to do to help. I just love that, man.
Yeah, and look, we talked about it earlier in the season with Spencer Howard. The idea that the long man in the bullpen is like a knock on the player is
Yeah.
crazy. How many games has David Hale blown for us this season?
Yep.
If you can replace Hale with a better version of Matt Moore, that's just as big as having a serviceable number 5 in the rotation. It's such an
Yep.
important role. It's cost this Phillies team 4 or 5 wins this season. So if Matt Moore can come in and be that guy, again, I'm right there with you. I am 1,000,000% in.
Yeah. And it's like me saying I'm back in, it's because we've been very hard on him.
Mhm.
All right. Let's do it, man. I believe in you again. Like I was just saying. Prove me wrong. Prove me that I shouldn't believe in you. He sold me.
Matt Moore,
Sold
Philly of the week by Sunday? Question mark.
He sold me, man. let's see how it goes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
and I mean, like you said, it's important because you got a manager who doesn't want to let his fourth or fifth starters go. Give him any type of like adversity. Any they face adversity and he pulls them. That long man role is it's even more important on a team like the Phillies right now, who have two question marks in their rotation.
Absolutely. All right, Kevin, before we sign on off here, any other final takes, any other final topics you wanted to get to?
I just wanted to say, man, great week. It's and like I mentioned earlier in the show, it's so nice to be able to sit here tonight and just be upbeat and be happy about the product that's been put on the field recently. As hard as we've been on the Phillies, they are 1.5 games out of the National League lead. I don't care if people want to say the National League's underperformed. The standings are what they are. The Phillies are right there. And it's been a mixed bag so far. It has to make you feel good that this team's going to start to put it together here. For as hard as we've been on them, they're 17 and 15, first place in the NL East. And we got Dave Dombrowski as the general manager or the president of baseball operations, who is known to address the holes on a roster when he thinks they can win. Keep winning ball games, man, and this team is going to get help in July. Let's just keep rolling along, man.
Got me all sorts of
You're
fired
getting,
up now,
you're getting me
Kevin. That was
hyped up,
great.
man. I'm getting juiced up.
Yeah, no, let's go. Look, I said it on what was it? Sunday. I said it on Sunday that we're gonna be back here in a couple of days
Yeah.
coming off a sweep. We
Yep.
swept the damn Brewers. We're
Yep.
gonna sweep the Braves.
Let's go. Let's go.
With that said, if you guys aren't already subscribed on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Anchor, you can also check us out on YouTube, where we post videos of our podcast that we record. If you want to come watch us as opposed to just listening, we're on Twitter, Facebook. Every single one of those links is going to be down below in the description. We've been blown away with the support over the last couple of weeks. We might have another giveaway lined up here soon, so stay
Yep.
tuned for that. If you're still listening at this point, you are an OG for that. Again, with that said, look, we're going to be back here either late Sunday night or early Monday morning talking about a 3-0 sweep over the Braves.
Hey, man, let's go. Let's get to it. Go Phils, baby.
Sounds good. Again, we're the Bullpen Blues podcast. We'll talk to you all in a couple of days.